Teaching number 21. Disciples, you have forgotten the way of praying that I taught you in the second era, and I have come to remind you of it. Prayer must be for you something greater and more powerful than repeating the words learned by heart, with which you accomplish nothing if you do not have spiritual elevation. Do not get used to praying only with words, pray with the Spirit. I also tell you, bless with prayer, send thoughts of light to your brothers and sisters, do not ask for anything for yourselves, remember that those who take care of mine will always have me watching over them. The seed that you sow with love, you will receive multiplied. Visit and anoint the sick, comfort the convict, give peace to the needy and bring consolation to the anguished heart. People have confused true charity, forgetting one of the highest sentiments of the Spirit, with the materialism that is manifested in all their actions. I have seen you give with contempt and even with disgust, a few coins to your poor brothers and sisters, and you give coins, because in your heart you have nothing to give, if at least you gave them with love or with a desire to help, but you give them with pride, with ostentation, humiliating the needy. If you gave them away without vanity or revulsion, your meager coins would partially quench the thirst for love of those spirits in full restitution. To those who understand charity in this way and with those imperfect works try to silence the voice of their conscience and pretend to make me believe that they comply with one of my highest teachings, I come to tell you, go to your bedroom and communicate in your prayer with me, so that in that communion to which you are not accustomed by now, you may feel in your interior a spark of kindness and gratitude towards the Father, and feeling the pain of your fellow human beings, you may pray for them. Even if you only do it for your own loved ones, that would already be a step towards spirituality. I still cannot ask of all people self-denial and charity for others or true love for their neighbor, but from you, disciples and children, who day after day listen to this voice that sweetens your feelings, I do expect of you, works worthy of your Master. If you love, the other benefits will follow. Love will give you the wisdom to understand the truth that others uselessly seek through the rugged paths of science. Let the Master guide you in all actions, words and thoughts. Prepare yourselves under his sweet and loving example and you will manifest divine love, so you will feel close to God, because you will be in harmony with him. If you love, you will become meek, as Jesus was. If you love, you will not need material worships or rites, because you will carry the light that illuminates your inner temple, before which the waves of all the storms that could hit you will break and the darkness of humanity will be destroyed. Do not profane the divine anymore, because in truth I tell you, that the ingratitude with which you show yourselves before God is great, when you do those external practices that you have inherited from your first brothers and sisters, and in which you have fanaticized yourselves. Humanity saw Jesus suffer and his teaching and testimony is believed by you, why continue crucifying him in your sculptures? Aren't the centuries you've spent exhibiting him as the victim of your wickedness enough? Instead of remembering me in the torments and agony of Jesus, why don't you remember my resurrection, full of light and glory? Sometimes, looking at your images representing me in the form of Jesus on the cross, there are those who have thought that it was a weak, cowardly, or timid man, without thinking that I am spirit and I came to suffer what you call sacrifice and what I call the duty of love, as an example for all humanity. If you meditate that I was one with the Father, think that there were no weapons, nor force, nor punishments that could have broken me, but if as a man I suffered, bled and died, it was because I gave you my sublime example of humility. People have not understood the greatness of that lesson, and everywhere they raise the image of the crucified one, which represents a disgrace for this humanity, which without love or respect for the one whom it supposes to express love for, continues to crucify and wound him daily by wounding the hearts of their brothers and sisters, for whom the Master gave his life. Ah, my children of all beliefs, do not kill the noblest feelings of the Spirit, nor try to conform it with external practices and worships. Consider, if a mother, who has nothing material to offer her beloved little son, hugs him close to her heart, blesses him with all her love, covers him with kisses, looks at him sweetly, bathes him with her tears, but never tries to deceive him with empty acts of love. How can you conceive that I, the Divine Master, approve of your conforming to practices devoid of all essence, truth, and love, with which you try to deceive your spirit, making it believe that it has sustained itself, when in reality it is becoming increasingly ignorant of the truth? Learn to love one another, to bless one another, to forgive one another, to be meek and sweet, good and noble, and understand that if you do not do so, you will not have in your life even the slightest reflection of the works of Christ, your Master. I speak to all of you and I invite you to destroy the errors that have stopped you in your evolution for so many centuries. Take love as a shield and wield truth as a sword, and soon you will find the way. Do not be afraid to be sowers of love, because Pilate and Caiaphas are no longer in the world to judge my disciples. You will find small ordeals on your way, but go through them leaving a mark of strength, serenity, and faith. Christ gave you his example, but he is and will remain the eternal Master, in spirit and in truth. The Spirit of truth and consolation is the same Spirit of God that throbbed in loving Jesus, who lived among people, and that will throb in you when you know how to love as he taught you. You who are my new disciples, listen, from the second era I spoke to you very clearly about me, to prevent you from falling into temptation, into errors. When I told you, the Father and I are one, with that I wanted to tell you that my love for you, in my word and in each one of my works, you had the presence of the Father. However, the religions that were later founded based on that teaching have fallen into materialism, making figures that represent the form of Jesus, and adore him through them, forgetting that Christ is essence and spirit. If I had wanted you to adore me in the figure of Jesus, I would have left you his body, so that you would worship him, but if after completing his mission I made that matter disappear, why do people adore him? I revealed to you that my kingdom is not material, but despite this, people still want to keep me on earth, and they present me with the riches and power of a kingdom that is temporary and limited. There were two natures in Jesus, one material, human, created by my will in the virginal womb of Mary, whom I called the Son of Man, and the other divine, the Spirit, which was named the Son of God. In this was the divine word of the Father, who spoke in Jesus, the other was only material and visible. When I was questioned by the Pontiff Caiaphas saying, I adjure you to tell me if you are the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God. I replied, you have said so. I had announced to my apostles that I would return to the Father, from whence I had come, then I was referring to the divine Spirit that was confined in the blessed body of Jesus, but when I prophesied to my disciples that the Son of Man would be handed over and crucified, I was only referring to the material part. The Spirit could not be crucified or put to death, because it is immortal and is above all creation. When I told you that I would imprint my law on your hearts, engrave it on your spirits, and reign in you, I was referring to my wisdom, to my eternal essence. You must understand that it is not Jesus who penetrates your hearts, but Christ, the eternal Word, the one who was announced by the prophet Isaiah as the slain lamb. In material terms, Jesus was your ideal and the realization of perfection, so that in him you would have an example worthy of imitation. I wanted to teach you what people should be in order to resemble their God. God is one and Christ is one with him, since he is the Word of divinity, the only way by which you can reach the Father of all that is created. My seed is sown in each spirit of humanity, and the day will come when you can rise to be similar to your Master. The Spirit of truth is the divine wisdom that comes to clarify the mysteries and has come to mankind in fulfillment of my promise made to humanity. You are living the era in which these manifestations were to take place, because you are spiritually prepared to receive them. Behold, the evils that afflict humanity today stem from its failure to obey my law and from having given a material interpretation to divine teachings and revelations. With these errors, how could they possibly understand their spiritual nature and the divine bonds that unite all of humanity with its Creator? From this comes your selfishness, your wars, and your attachment to material pleasures. The Spirit of God is like an infinite tree in which the branches are the worlds and the leaves are beings. If the same sap flows from the trunk to all the branches and from these to the leaves, do you not think that there is something eternal and holy that unites you all with one another and merges you with the Creator? Brief is your passage through the world, but it is necessary that you fulfill your mission before departing from this life, so that you may come to inhabit higher dwellings for the Spirit, in the hereafter. Spirit and matter are two distinct natures, your being is formed from them, and consciousness governs both. The first is born of light, the second comes from the earth and is matter. Both are united in a single being and struggle against each other, guided by consciousness, in which you have the presence of God. This struggle has been constant until now, but in the end, spirit and matter will harmoniously fulfill the mission assigned to each by my law. You can also imagine the spirit as if it were a plant and the body as the earth. The spirit, which has been planted in matter, grows and rises, sustained by the trials and teachings it receives throughout its human life. I come to teach you to know your spirit deeply, because that immense wave of materialism that has been advancing upon humanity will have to create immense spiritual needs, and it is necessary that in the world there be a source of light, where those thirsty for it can quench their thirst. How many dreadful wars await humanity, far more terrifying than those that have passed, in which the fury of the unleashed elements will mingle with the roar of your weapons. The world will be too small to contain such destruction. All this will result in people, having reached the depths of their pain and despair, turning in supplication to the true God, whom they refuse to reach through love, to ask for his divine peace. Then I, Christ, the Word, will rise again in their hearts, for that time will be the third day, on which I will fulfill the promise of salvation by building the temple as I promised you. Like the angel who stood over the tomb of Jesus, my divine spirit will descend to lift the sepulchral stone that closes your heart so that my light may illuminate the innermost part of the human being. This will be the spiritual dawn of which you will be witnesses, but my seed and the good news will spread, because the time of the fight is near, and it is necessary that my children are prepared. But know from now on that in this fight there will be no hesitation, it will be carried to the end in which the light will triumph over the darkness of humanity. Listen carefully, disciples, so that you, to whom I have explained so many mysteries, do not lose the keys I have entrusted to you, to open the book of my wisdom. Feel the peace so that you can make it felt around you. Only with the serene and clean elevation of your spirit, will you become the sowers of spirituality. In the midst of all the vicissitudes of your earthly life, you will be able to carry out many prodigies, if you truly treasure in your spirit the gift of peace that my love gives you. On the other hand, if you do not carry it, you will only be able to do very few works worthy of me. Receive my teachings without anxiety, peacefully, contemplate me with the sensitivity of your feelings and feel me with tenderness, as children feel their loving mother. Only in this way will you be able to receive and benefit from the torrent of light that overflows from my teachings. Learn to penetrate the atmosphere of intimate peace that these moments in which you remain with me offer you, and forget about your sorrows and problems, so that you may be strengthened in my love. Be strong so that you resist the trials and pray for humanity that is agitated and suffers like you, and truly I tell you that when you feel the arrival of my peace, you will perceive that peace has descended upon everyone. You ask me why on many occasions, in order to receive some grace from me, you first have to cry through some trial, and I tell you, that each of you being like a tree, sometimes you have branches so sick or dry, that pruning is necessary in order to have good fruit, and these cuts have to cause you pain. Sometimes that pruning goes to the very roots to destroy the evils that have polluted your spirit. For now you cry, but do not despair, because after pain comes true health. When I turn you away from the wrong path, I do so with great charity and love, even though at the moment you may not understand my perfect designs. I subdue sickness within you and transform it into health and joy. This is how I bring the materialistic, the confused, those who have strayed from the path of good, closer to the right path. When Jesus was crucified, he gently forgave his executioners and gave them life, praying to his Father for their salvation. With his words and his silence he also gave them forgiveness and those proofs of infinite love for humanity. They were and will be eternally as inexhaustible springs, in which people will be inspired for their noblest acts of forgiveness and love. Today, as yesterday, I come to give you to drink from that fountain of truth and life, to lift you up from your falls, and to illuminate your path so that you may endure the trials on your journey through this world, and that this may serve as a stepping stone to ascend to the mansion where you will know supreme peace. Fear nothing of your Creator, instead of yourselves, yes, when your spirit is not on the path traced by my law. Seek the path that Jesus laid out for you so that you may turn away from your cup of bitterness. If you lose your way or voluntarily delay your arrival at the kingdom of peace, it will be because you choose to do so, not because it is my will. Let me guide you, so that supported by me, you can interpret the teachings that the Book of Life offers you and understand something of the future that awaits humanity. Do not fear kings or lords or anyone who holds you any title or power, because nothing can oppose what is ordered by the Father. I have manifested my light translated into word, which some of you have heard and which by writings and testimonies will be known by all. I have told you that I am the great warrior whose sword comes in the spirit of battle, but understand that I do not come to provoke wars among people, like the ones you have always had. My war is one of ideas, of conviction, in which truth, love, reason, justice and true wisdom shine. But when the struggle is more intense and mankind begins to understand that these messages are divine inspirations, flashes of God's love, who only seeks peace among humanity, he will feel the impulse to put them into practice, to teach them to all that do not know them, and then they will take my doctrine to exterminate the evil that your disobedience has caused you. On what you learn and analyze from the written word, I will pour out my inspiration, so that you apply the teachings that you give to your brothers and sisters. When among people there begins to arise those who, unmoved by injury, love and forgive those who hurt them and lovingly bless God, because with his perfect lessons he made them living examples of Jesus, then you will be at the beginning of the reign of Christ in the hearts of humanity. My peace be with you.